Welcome. Thank you for dropping into our parent drop-in group. We're recording our lectures because, we'd like to make them available to people who can't make our groups, which happen to be, I think, on Tuesdays at noon. So I hope you'll come. I'm going to talk briefly about the topic of COVID, winter, and socializing or connecting. I've been saying that COVID-19, and this is probably an apt metaphor given my talk today, is the perfect storm in that it naturally creates anxiety and can create despair and depression as well. Why is that? Well, COVID came on quickly. We didn't really have time to prepare for it. Secondly, it has changed the way in which we live our lives customarily. It has robbed us of much reinforcement, um, um, adventure, surprise in a positive way, joy. Three, we don't know how long this is going to last. Thankfully, vaccines are here. They've arrived. They arrived, I think, as recently as yesterday, and which creates hope. But we don't know how much longer this is going to last. And I think many of us believe that it's going to be here for a while. When we get to the other side, it's going to be a new norm, but we're still going to have to kind of take our time to get to kind of the old way of life that we've grown to enjoy and appreciate. And finally, with COVID, we don't have control. We haven't had really any control over this virus. There's some things we can do to perhaps keep ourselves safe, but we don't have any control in terms of making it go away, at least not on our own. So it came on abruptly. It created huge, magnificent changes. We don't really know the course and we can't control it. And when you face those sorts of ingredients, we human beings are very likely to respond in ways which exacerbate our natural tendencies. That's what actually the early research is showing. So if you're kind of on the moody side, you're likely to become moodier. If you're on the worried or anxious side, you're likely to become more worried, more anxious. So the coronavirus has actually exacerbated our natural tendencies, creating an uptick, a meaningful and huge uptick in mental health issues like anxiety and or depression. And now here in the Midwest, if you're lucky, perhaps, and you're living maybe on the West Coast, or in some environment where from like December through May, the weather is nice, the weather is warm, the weather is balmy, then you're not going to have to deal not only with the coronavirus, but you also won't have to deal with what we in the Midwest are going to have to deal with, and that is the cold. In fact, today it's probably in the 20s, and I'm about to take my walk. And to be honest, I'm really not looking forward to it. But it's cold, and we have less light. And during this time, for many of us Midwesterners, it's a rough go from a mental health perspective. So now we've got the coronavirus, and we've got the cold, and parents have been asking me and my other colleagues, okay, so what do we do for ourselves and what do we do for our kids who need to connect with others? And so my research has brought out a message of 3 words. And this is not necessarily brilliant, but it's important to remember. And the 3 words are do things outside. Do things outside. When you are looking to grow your mental health, there are certain pillars or guideposts to which we look, 2 of which are, A, you want to be thinking flexibly. And B, you want to be connecting to others. When we're in kind of an anxious and or depressed state, most of us often find ourselves, unfortunately, thinking in rigid and negative ways. And we also may be likely to restrict the number of contacts we have. That is the antithesis of what we want to be doing right now, given that the coronavirus is here. And I wish I could say the cold is coming, but the cold is here as well. And the light is here only so much of the time, each and every day. So what we want to make sure we do, and what we want to make sure our kids do, is think creatively, which in the winter months translates into layering up and going outside. And even doing things with one person or a couple of people at most. And if you're out with people, even though you're outside, please wear a mask, because that also is likely to keep you safe, but connected. So the American Academy of Pediatrics right now recommends that we and our kids spend at least 1 hour a day outside. 30 minutes will do, but 1 hour is better. And we want to try to make that happen as much as we can each week. 5 times a week would be fantastic. 7 days a week, obviously, is ideal, but 4 days a week is fine too. And even though this may conflict some with your kids' school schedule, if you're home and they're home, find a time during the school day when it's light outside and have them go outside, and go outside with them and be with them and take walks if they'll let you, and just talk and or enjoy each other's company and or the beauty of the outdoors, even when it's cold. So go outside. There is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. So it's important that you layer up. And if you layer up, you may find that even though you're afraid to go outside because you think you're going to feel cold, once you're out and about, you actually are likely not to feel as cold as you think you will. Be creative. This is, a fine time to, believe it or not, have a barbecue, snowshoe, put on ice skates, be creative, go outside, be active. What's really most important, again, 3 words: do things outside. That will make it easier for you and your children to tolerate the coronavirus. We are sort of rounding the bend, so to speak. Vaccines are coming. But the science that I read says we're probably unlikely to feel like we've crossed over and are in a new norm around the summer at the earliest, and maybe the fall at the latest. And I trust that that's true. So we need to get through the winter. Be creative, go outside, connect with others, wear a mask. That is a great recipe for dealing with, again, this very difficult and perfect storm. Last thing I want to say, this is a time too when our older relatives or people who are alone are likely to feel, or more likely to feel, lonely and depressed. So it's very important that if you can, when you're outside, go visit a relative. Ask him or her to come outside too. Wear a mask and spend 10 minutes just talking. And if your older relative can't get out, then make a phone call. If he or she is not good with technology, go old school, use a telephone. If he or she is good with technology, use FaceTime or Zoom, so that you can actually eyeball the person and spend some time talking to our older relatives. Because our younger kids, they need TLC right now. They need good ideas from us. Our older relatives, they need TLC too. Okay, thank you so much for dropping in. I hope this was useful. Take good care, and take good care of your kids. Thank you.